All right, let's move on. Let's talk about Johnny Nansen from Arizona heading to Texas. And we talked about him a lot on this show during the regular season. And because, yeah, there's a lot of discussion about how Noah Fafita and Ted McMillan, ended up, really propelling that offense into a light that would allow this team to really shine. But I think that the story, really should be about this defense. Like we knew that the offense was going to be good going into the season, but the defense, the improvement from when Johnny Nansen first came in, right, to this year was it was it was a switch. He flipped it, right? 2021 before he was there, 101st in opponent points per game allowed. 2022, 126th in his first year as defensive coordinator. That's out of 133, by the way. Okay. This past year, they were a top 30 team in opponents' points per game. Their secondary was fantastic. Okay. And what's the story behind Johnny Nansen? Well, I mean, he's a fantastic recruiter. He worked at USC. He was at UCLA. I mean, he's kind of been all over there in the West Coast, kind of dipping his toes into a different state here. But look, I think this is a pretty solid replacement. What do you think?
Yeah, and there's familiarity there with Steve Sarkisian back all the way their days from when Sarkisian was at USC. Now, obviously, Sarkisian, much different person than he was, just 10 years ago. Obviously, building a really good program right now in Texas. And he goes out and gets his guy, a guy that he proclaimed one of the best, you know, defensive coaches in the nation. And obviously, like you said, what he did with Arizona, nothing short of super, super impressive. Yes, Jacob Manu gets a lot of credit there, but their D line, I thought, was really, really impressive. And what they did, they lost a ton of guys to go to other Power Five schools, starters from just a year ago. And they came on this past season and really, really, was fantastic. Top 25 defense, you know, stifling some really good offenses. Washington State was lighting up everybody, and until they ran into Arizona, I mean, they did a great, great job. What they did to UCLA and Chip Kelly was awesome. And obviously, yeah, you mentioned Nansen being at UCLA, USC. He's done recruiting there. It's fantastic. He can bring some talent, infuse some talent into that D line what Texas has had. And they're doing a good job of that right now, I think, obviously. But you lose two guys in the NFL, two impact players in Sweat and Murphy, and you're going to have to replace them. And I do think it's going to be a nice piece for that. Now, he's working with the inside linebackers, obviously, but he's going to have a hand in a lot of different things, recruiting as well. And Anson's, I think, a great fit for Texas, especially you kind of had to do it late in the cycle. Um, once, what's his name, went to Nevada. Um, your defense corner left for Nevada to be their head coach, and
Right?
a great Jeff Choate, Jeff Choate,
Chip choke. Chip choke.
Choate.
You got it.
Sorry, there we go. But yeah, Nansen I think is fantastic. What about you?
Yeah, I think he's good too. And the quality of the player that he's brought in the transfer portal already, Trey Moore, Andrew
Yep.
Makuba. I mean, those aren't just your no-name guys, right? I mean, you look at you look at the transfer portal a lot of times like plugging holes, but they really got some good talent in the transfer portal, at least in the top end, right? I mean, they only needed a couple different pieces. Of course, you lose some guys in the interior, and you do get a guy on the interior who's not going to replace the production of those two guys. But the reality is, though, Johnny Nansen is he's a darn good football coach, man. And Texas, with the loss of Jeff Choate, with the loss of Bo Davis, I mean, those are huge losses, right? And a huge reason why that Texas team was, I think, really good. People like to point at their offense and Quinn Ewers, yada, yada, yada. I think that defense was a lot different than the defense that we've been used to with these Texas teams. So the defense, not that it's a calling card for Texas, but there are some good offenses in the SEC that they're going to be playing against, and some very physical teams that they're going to be playing against, and they need to come ready to go. And I think Johnny Nansen can help them get ready. I mean, there's always question marks by year one because with that philosophy change, with all that comes in, all that comes with getting a new defensive coordinator, sure, but Johnny Nansen's really good, man, and we've been high on him for a while. So I think this was a really good hire.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and Texas, like you said, they're going to be a team that's not only SEC, but this is national championship type of year with Quinn Ewers coming back, all the pieces you bring in the portal, you cannot afford to have a lackluster side of the football, and especially on that defensive side. Yeah, man. I mean, also, I mean, I just love the mentality that they played with. Arizona, man, they played so hard last year. They tackled well. They were physical. Everything you want to see for your Texas football, right? To get back, to get really back. Johnny Nansen is going to be able to help continue to push that and push that culture that Sarkisian is bringing. And that's part of the reason why they brought him in, right? You had that success. You had that crossover at USC, and Sarkisian understands exactly the type of person Johnny Nansen is and what he brings to the table, not only recruiting wise, but also like you said, scheme and culture wise. It's gonna be awesome. I know Arizona was pretty devastated to lose a guy like Johnny Nansen. But I guess it's nature of the beast, But yeah, and they also, yeah, what he did for Arizona, like you said, was just so good.